everywhere you go.
And then we are here on the 8 at 8, and welcome to the show. We have Ephraim with us in the studios. Good morning, Ephraim.
Good morning, Jesse. How are you?
Good morning, Ephraim.
How are you, Juliana?
I am well, I'm well.
Hey, I apologize for my tardiness, as they say, muchongeres. Yeah, it's been one of those mornings.
Those mornings.
Yeah,
we
had a
do
long
understand.
public holiday.
Yeah, we're still holidaying in our minds. Eh?
What were your impressions, the inauguration? What did you see? What crossed your mind?
I mean, progress is a beautiful thing to witness.
Progress is progressing.
It's like seeing a child grow. You know, when you see a child mature, and then you just see how the child develops
Every
their
stage.
own character, their own. It's really beautiful to witness Rwanda in its growth. You keep seeing, like, you can see it.
Just looks like a movie.
It's beautiful to watch.
Yeah.
And it's what a time to be alive. I mean, we say.
Did you see the pomp? How people were very smart, well dressed.
I actually didn't get a chance to look at people's outfits. I think for me, I was
Specific people, of course.
more fixated on
The army.
the
men
so
in
there was
uniform.
the parade.
Yeah.
But then also just you want to, it's what he says in his speech, and
Yeah.
it's for you to kind of get a sense of what to expect the next 5 years. And I think from what we heard, I mean,
It was
ready.
just entirely beautiful.
Yeah.
I rewatched the whole of yesterday. Weird.
Yeah.
I went back to YouTube and rewatched again. I was like,
Yeah.
am I silly or I'm just... Anyway, so how are you, Ephraim? It's good to have you here today.
Despite the fact that I'm late, yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Now, I just saw the news of this two-time winner of the NBA. It's called Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant,
Yes. He's become a minority shareholder in PSG.
Oh, wow.
That's the football club, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's making his first time big venture into European football. Now he's following the likes of what do you call him? Your superstar, the NBA superstar, James. LeBron invested in Liverpool as a football club, and it's interesting how we see American sportsmen invest in the football in Europe. It's interesting to watch. Our conversation today with Ephraim is really centering on opportunity. If you are running a business, and by the way, somebody sent me a question yesterday asking, how do people become businessmen? I found it very interesting.
Yeah, but it's a genuine question. How? I think the reason why you find it interesting is because the obvious answer would be start a business. But the question is how. The question is how.
Is there an answer to that?
There is. So, today's conversation is about finding opportunities, like identifying opportunities. And I think a lot of people, it's easier said than done. Reason being is because there's a mixture of formula, the strategy on how you identify, but then there's also luck. For me, the interesting thing that I've come to appreciate about finding opportunities is that if you try to over complicate the process, you will never actually find the opportunities you're looking for. So what do I mean by that? We have two groups of people. One, there are those who are like, I want to get into business. I want to be a businessman. I want to be like Jesse.
I want to get into
You can
business.
want,
I
by
want
the
to
way.
become rich.
You can want,
But
does
the
everyone
question is, I have X amount of capital. Where do I start? How, do I start a supermarket? Do I start a salon? Do I become a social media influencer? I don't know why I laughed at that. Do I sell electronics?
There's some easy ways
It's
to
actually,
become
it's
rich.
a very good way of earning money.
That's what I'm saying. Do I become a wedding planner? Do I set up an events company? Like, what do I do and why should I do it? You know. And trust me, even people who, that's the first group. Then the second group are people who are in business. They've made money, they've grown, they have a successful established business, and they're looking for new ventures. Most entrepreneurs are like that. Unless you got into business for an income. Most entrepreneurs relish in the enjoyment of new venture, new business, the car, new smell. It's like buying new clothes. So the issue I've seen normally is most people get stuck trying to figure out what to do. Now, for me, again, it's not that I'm an expert at this, but what I want to share is things that I've seen, I've read, and I've in my own life applied, and it has helped me.
But I would also be impressed if you can tell us about things that you have seen, especially around this market. We want to see and have a view of this city and how to spot opportunities in this city, especially now we have the next 5 years with President Paul Kagame. Somebody needs to be able to say, okay, fine, next 5 years we've made progress. We have been waiting for something to become. And maybe this is the opportunity this next 5 years. How do I spot the opportunity? Amidst all the challenges, like infrastructure changes, the master plan of the city, the secondary cities which are being constructed. I think someone needs to have like a third eye to be able to identify what is the opportunity amidst all of this. Yes.
So first and foremost, I want to make this a micro conversation before we make it macro, right? I want to talk about the individual. Ephraim, Jesse, Juliana sitting in this.
Juliana, do you want to reduce a bit of the yes? Maybe you can just switch it off.
I want us to have a conversation as individuals. And we look at it from our perspectives before we now talk about macroeconomic trends, because that's one of the things you look out for. First and foremost, you need to ask yourself, why do you want to do this particular thing? Why do you want to get into business? Why are you looking for an investment opportunity? Actually, let me not call it investment opportunity. Why are you looking for a business opportunity? Because investment is another story. Investment, you're looking for passive income. So where you can put your money and get a return without you actively being involved, because the dynamics associated with those two things are different. A business is a full-time job. It's a career decision. Whether you go work for Real FM or Kiss FM, whether you decide you're going to be a doctor or a nurse, it's the same. It's at the same level. But an investment is you're just looking at reward and risk, and so it's based on numbers. It's based on assessing factors beyond the actual thing. So the first step is understanding your objectives. The same reason why you get into a particular career is the same reason why you pick a particular business. What are you trying to achieve? Are you looking for money? Are you looking at it as a stepping stone? Are you looking at it for an experience? Most people say, I'm starting my business to make money, but then the question is how much? Are you looking to make an extra $1,000,000 francs a month? Are you looking to make 10? Are you looking to become a millionaire? Are you looking to become a billionaire?
You just mentioned something. Write down your objective. Doesn't that limit a businessman? Basically, your scope on things that you can do when you are starting out. Like, if my objective is A, B, C, D, it could limit me from other opportunities. And even if they came, I should shy away from them.
So objectives are not gazetted laws. They're not constitutional laws.
So they could be dynamic.
They're not constitutional. They're not like, this is it.
If you don't stick to that objective, you'll be arrested and taken to prison. No, it doesn't work like that.
So if your objective is to export eggs,
no, that's not what that objective is. That's now an action step. When we talked about goal setting, the objective is I want to make 2 million in free cash flow, free income, like my take-home cash every month from my business. I want 2 million francs, as an example, or 5. That's your objective. But again, if you come and you see your business is thriving and you're at 10, it doesn't mean that you should kill your business or you go back to 5. That's what I mean. But if you find yourself only making 1, the question then comes in, what do I need to do to increase it to 5? So that's what I'm saying. The objective is there. But now the action steps is now how do I get to this 5? So you need to have your objective. Why am I starting this business? Now that will then inform everything else. If you're trying to become a billionaire, how you go about that is completely different than somebody who's just like, in Jewe, all I need is my car, 5 million every month. I'm comfortable. I can take care of myself, feed my family, pay my bills, build some properties here and there.
But wait a minute. There are people who actually start out with an objective to become millionaires. Just a title, millionaire. I am a millionaire, a Rwandan millionaire.
No, granted, yeah. But you see, it's that is the title. But the title comes from something. The title comes from you having $1 million in assets and above. So $1 million in assets is actually the accumulation of wealth. So someone is like, I want to do this within 10 years. And so how do I accumulate $1 million in 10 years? So that coming back to this point of objective, you have your objective. Now your objective will then inform how you do it. Now, for me, I've always looked at it in different ways. Like I said, the billionaire approach, I want to become a billionaire, or I want to achieve this massive goal, versus someone who's like, I just want enough to survive, take care of my family, and a little extra to save and expand our capacity. The approach of identifying opportunities is different, because to identify a business that can give you that wealth that can get you to $1 million is a completely different. You'd identify those opportunities in different ways. Those are the ones now where you look at macroeconomic trends. You listen to the next 5-year agenda of the country. You say, okay, how can I position myself? Because that kind of money requires you to be at a certain level and requires you to play approach it differently. But if you're like, all I need is 5 million, there are many opportunities, from a restaurant to a coffee shop to a what, that can get you to that point depending on how you approach it, right? Even a consultant can get to that level. Or I'm not saying that a consultant is a pure business, but you can have a consulting firm that has consultants under you that you can now leverage, and you can make that kind of money. So how you approach it is different. So some people will say the internal and external factors. The internal factors we know are my passions, what I love, what I'm good at. That works if you're looking at a lower level. I mean,
let me just take you back to the story of the Olympics. Someone has been ranting in the New Times that what a shame. He mentions that our team has been going to participate in the Olympics year on year. They bring back nothing. Can you really bank on that passion, for instance, to run 100 meters, and then year on year, 5 years, 10 years later, it's just visiting Europe, and you have nothing to show for it?
Now you see, that is a passion on an individual level, so that's self-employment. But if the person the athlete who's going to the Olympics wants to make a business out of that passion for athletics, they can start an athletics brand, or they can start a coaching academy, where they can delegate and scale. So what is the definition of a business? A business is something that creates value for the consumer by leveraging other people's time and other people's money. Self-employment is where you create value for people by leveraging your own skills, capacity, and understanding. So what separates a self-employed individual and a business is that a self-employed person is the individual. You're a doctor. It's your practice. You are the one who, if you're not there, income is not generated. But a business is that you have systems and processes where without your existence or participation, it will still generate value for the consumer and you as well, or let's say all stakeholders. So that's the logic. So in this context, that athlete who goes to the Olympics, if he decides he wants to turn a business out of his passion, he would then go create a brand or a product or a supplement that helps athletes or is around that particular sector. But again, how many people can find that passion that is also scalable to the point where it can make them $1 million, as an example? Very few. But on the flip side, there are some trends. Like right now, if we talk of agriculture in our country, there's a lot of funding going into agriculture. So someone would say, automatically, if I can create significant value that can help that grant money, that support, that capital find me in that space, let me go do it. Now that's the kind of sector or opportunity that you've identified that can allow you to get to that point.
But let me wonder, is it that opportunity is always straightforward? You're able to see it. I know you could be in a space like we're in this studio, and somebody would see the opportunity within this space. Somebody else would just see a great environment to be at.
Okay, so there are two aspects to that, right? So first and foremost, let me talk of, because there's opportunity, but then there's a seizing of the opportunity, right? So I've always talked about great idea is one half of the equation. Execution is the other half. right? So I use a metric. So it's 1 to 10 or 0 to 10, right? For great idea. And then for execution, it's 0 to 10 as well. So if you have a great idea and you execute it well, that's 10 times 10, that's 100%. If you have a great idea, which is 10, but you execute it poorly, which is 1, you will only have 10%. If you have a bad idea, which is, let's say, 2, but you execute it phenomenally well, that's 20%. So 10 times 2. That's part 1. So normally you find that not all having the idea or spotting the opportunity, having a great studio like this doesn't always automatically guarantee success. Execution is important. But now coming back to the question specifically that you asked, the ability to spot opportunities. We all talk about entrepreneurs who can just see things, and you're like, how did this person spot this? It's a muscle you train, and the muscle is trained over time. Because, for example, when you look at, let me talk of the sector of trade and commodities, right? Commodities, like any other sector, is cyclical based on economics, the economic situation of the country you're in. So spending habits, free cash flow in the economy will determine the price of commodities. That takes time for you to learn. It needs you to go through at least 5 cycles to know the trend. Now, if I spot an opportunity after 6 years of being in the business and I see it like this, obviously I will see it faster, or I will see it, and somebody who is just joined the sector, who doesn't know the sector, will not see it. And again, I was telling this to a group of people yesterday about the power of education. I said, we underestimate how powerful knowledge is until we need it. In what sense? If you randomly go read up on random things, just the most random of things, like, for example, let me see something random. You see how you talked of inauguration, how you watched it, I don't know how many times. There's something each time you watched it, there's something that you picked from there.
Absolutely.
That's somebody who watched it once or watched it live that did not pay attention to. You won't notice that you picked up something that was valuable in that experience until even 10 years from now. And you're doing something and it clicks.
Like deja vu, as if I've seen this before.
And so you find that that's what ends up happening to a lot of these people you see who end up going to land very good opportunities. It's not that they're any different from the rest of us. Yes, they're somehow extremely intelligent, but most of them have exposed themselves to so much information that when the opportunity comes, it's almost like it's so obvious to them, but everybody else is like, how did you spot that? You're like, but how did you guys not see that this was going to work? Like, I'll give you a simple example. How many people know how much money is going to be invested for the next fiscal year in agriculture?
You're asking us in a room.
Yeah, I'm just, how many people do you think?
No, we're not looking for opportunities in agriculture.
My point exactly.
I'm so blind to agriculture.
Now, my point is, do you know how much, do you know how, and then when we now break it down specifically, because agriculture is broad, there's horticulture, there's animal husbandry, and etc., right? The question then comes in, how many people also know the allocation of that money to those specific subsectors? Yes. So that knowledge, you find it's there. It was a New Times article, and I remember the New Times. It was public information. It's not like it's insider trading. You just read the New Times article, you see the total amount, you see who is going to be dispensing the money, you see which subsectors. Then there it triggers you to now figure out where next do I go to figure out how I can tap into this. So what I'm just trying to tell you is that if you truly want to exercise this muscle, if you want to identify good opportunities to make money, expose yourself to as much knowledge as possible, and not just in the sector, just general knowledge. Read news, study things, engage people in conversation.
Yeah, listen to Kigali in the morning.
Listen to Kigali in the morning, exactly.
Especially at 6 in the morning.
Yes, identifying opportunities in this market.
So that's what I'm trying to tell you, exactly. So expose yourself to the field of, be plugged in. As they like to say, have your finger on the pulse. Don't they say that?
Yeah, they say that.
Be exposed, know what's going on, and then assess it. You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised. So what I'm just trying to say is that anybody who says that they want to get into business, they want to identify opportunities, but they don't know where to begin, where to start, put your finger on the pulse.
Let me ask this, and perhaps the last question before we get into the news. I see Jean Baptiste is already here to deliver the news. Can I hire people as just experts on finding opportunity? And I sit back, relax, because I have the money to invest.
So, people, this is a very good question, because I've seen people do this, and people have approached me to do this. They're like, Ephraim, give me business ideas, I pay you. And, because for me, it's my reputation on the line. I'm like, no. Why? Because there's a difference between giving you an investment opportunity and giving you a business idea. Like I said, it's a full-time job. No one can tell you what career path to take unless you are already in the career, and they can give you guidance on what to do within that space. So, for example, if you've decided you want to be a radio presenter, I can tell you which radio station is better to work for. You'd rather go work for Royal FM than X, Sibjo, because they have a vision, they have a plan, they know where they're going. They are the modern version of a radio station. But I can't tell you become a radio presenter versus a doctor. Why? You need to have that conviction internally. So, truth be told, you can't go and buy business plans because it's a real full-time job. Once you have the business idea, to bring it to fruition, the execution, to get a 10 execution, will require your literally your body, mind, and soul. It's a lot of work.
I think also need to be passionate about the particular business. Someone cannot just read for you a script and say this is the business. So you just wake up and say, I'm going to do the business. I mean, you should have knowledge about it. You should be passionate about it. Yeah, I think.
Though I feel passion is, we overrate passion.
Yeah, it's relative, because that just triggered my thought on Elon Musk. How did he just end up being a social media influencer?
So you see,
he's
for
a
him,
businessman.
so for him, so that's what I'm trying to tell you. Passion is a derived reality. Human nature, we become passionate of if we're doing something that we love and we're good at. No, sorry, not love. If we find ourselves in a place where we are good at something and we're benefiting from it, passion tends to grow out of it. There's a weird way. Like if you find yourself in a job and you're good at it and you're getting paid and you're even being appreciated for it and you're finding all this personal recognition, you're finding fulfillment, you tend to develop passion for it. Yeah. So what ends up happening is, what I tell people is that don't focus too much on the passion, focus more on the skill. What are you innately gifted at doing? And actually they say that successful people can take 3 skills and amalgamate them. So if Jesse is a good organizer, but he also has a fantastic voice, but then he also has a personality that's bubbly that you can hear through the radio, he would be very good. He will be very successful as a radio owner or radio executive, because he's taken 3 traits that he's not necessarily the best at in the world, but the combination of the 3, he's the best. And that's how it works. So look at your innate skills. Innate means skills that come naturally to you without you necessarily having to upskill yourself. Like, so Ephraim, one of my skills is talking. I've accepted it. I don't fight it. You can abuse me. You say yes. I know. But then I also know that another skill that I have is I have an ability to break down very complex ideas and make them simple. It's something that I've learned. Then I also know I'm very good at organizing. So the question is, I'm still trying to figure out how I can take those 3 skills and turn them into a business.
Interesting. Ephraim, we have to end this conversation here, and we'll have you again next Tuesday. Same time, same place here on Kigali in the Morning. It's the 8 at 8.
Kigali in the Morning brings you the